Hello there, welcome along to Property Kings. My name is John Daly. Now it seems every day we're hearing another property success story. The industry is booming and the overseas market couldn't be hotter. So what does it take to become one of the big players? Can the average Joe make it with those big players in the property world? Well, we're bringing in the best and sharing their stories to help you get started in this exciting world. Our guest today is Arv Soar. Arv, lovely to meet you.
And you?
How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, I don't think.
Good, good. Tell us how you got started in this. Was it a family thing? Was your family involved in property?
Yeah, basically, my father was in the construction industry, and we had a small portfolio of houses.
How many?
It was about three houses, and unfortunately he passed away during my teen years, so I was thrown in quite, at the deep end, basically getting involved in the maintenance and the management of property. At the time it was really only our main source of income for the family, so it was a steep learning curve.
I'm sure.
And, it was something obviously that I had to deal with.
And so, how did you deal with that? Were you still at school at the time?
Yeah,
Did
I was
you
still
left
at school. I mean, I was 15 years old at the time.
Okay, great.
And, a supportive family, etc. The rest of the family, in terms of brothers and sisters, were away studying or married. So really, it was me, my mum, and my brother, etc. And my sister also used to help out when she could. And really, it was just going, collecting rents, taking calls, organising maintenance.
Had you built up any experience prior to that? Did you know anything about it?
Nothing at all. And it was really just in at the deep end and really just learn.
And did you have anyone that you could take advice from?
Yeah, I mean, my brother and my sister were there to back me up. My mum also was involved in it, as well as being a housewife. But really, it just came down to getting stuck in and.
And where were these properties? Were they close?
In Nottingham, there were local properties, student-let types of properties, etc. That was a very good market in those days, and really it was just, sort of seasonal, Summer holidays were taken up either working or, having a paintbrush in your hand and, cleaning houses, really.
And so how did you decide to develop beyond that, beyond
well,
those three
basically,
houses?
That was really the first sort of taste I had of property, and sort of really enjoyed, obviously, the experience.
Did you feel this was for you? This was what you should be doing in life?
Definitely, it was something that, obviously my dad had done, something I wanted to really carry on. And I really bought my first property when I was in my early 20s at university. I thought to myself, instead of paying, somebody else all this sort of rent and all this money, why don't I buy a property, live in it myself, and rent the other rooms out to our friends, and that way, I'm getting a property out of it at the end of the day, and it's an asset.
How did you feel with all these people in your own house that you're renting out rooms to?
Well, actually, it didn't actually happen that way, because what I realised quite quickly was looking at finances, etc. I was a poor student in them days, but luckily I had a very supportive family. I'd been working during the summer holidays, etc. So I had a bit of savings, and I know I shouldn't really say this, but student loans at the time were a cheap source of money. So I started looking around in the south of England and soon realised, forget it, I'm not going to be able to afford anything here. So undeterred, I looked at my hometown of Nottingham and I found a great property. At the time it was £43,000. It had 2 bedrooms, but it had 2 reception rooms, so it was 3 lettable rooms. And that was the first property I ever bought. And I think we may have a picture somewhere here of this property.
Oh, let's have a look. Let's have a look.
That was it. That was the first property I ever bought.
Very nice.
Yeah. Timed it right. I actually bought it during the
Timing's
beginning.
important,
timing
isn't it?
is very important, because I bought it during the start of the summer vacation. Very excited, got my teeth into it, and did all the refurbishment work myself, decorating.
But how did you know what to do, Arv? Because you said you'd no real experience in any of
again,
this.
it was just really things that you pick up. Basically, is what I picked up during my teen years. The summer holidays, as I mentioned, or the Christmas holidays or vacations I spent, cleaning houses. Buying furniture for them if anything had broken down, and getting the paintbrush out. And that's exactly what I did with this property. I bought
and you had 3 rentable rooms in it. So how many families did you rent that to?
three students. But it was a great experience. It was a real boost in terms of confidence, etc. Because I'd done all the work on it. The first group of students who came around to see it took it straight away. So all of a sudden I had all this money in my hand. And running home and said, look, I've got this money, That's saying to put it in my account, but I was kind of reminded that it's a deposit and it had to go back at the end of the year. So But I can tell you one thing, it was, you know, I was a rich student at the time, but you know, it gave me a positive cash flow, which is what I was always looking for.
Which is great.
Yeah, it really is, and, you know, it helped me in my student years.
And what do you put all that down to, Arv? I mean, is it luck, is it timing, is it the experience that you'd built up over those previous years?
It's a bit of experience, but really, you know, you've got to put your mind to something. If you put your mind to it, you can achieve anything. That's one thing I've really learned. And this really gave me the boost and the confidence to really get me to where I am today.
Now, where's this one?
Right, this is a typical sort of property that I buy in the north of England.
Yes.
Traditionally, the 2 up, 2 down, terrace-style properties. I look for in regeneration areas where the government are pumping in money, etc. These, you know, because obviously then I'm going to get the capital growth in these sort of properties. Also, traditionally, they have a strong rental market in these areas. And this is just an example of one that was being finished off. This is a refurbished property which I bought. Actually, in the end, I actually bought the whole terrace. I think we have a picture of the whole terrace there. These were actually, I think I paid nearly about 40,000 for this.
Right.
Spent just about £7,000 to £8,000 on it, valued up at £55,000. It gave me a positive cash flow again. But the beauty about this is we have another picture of a whole terrace of properties.
That's great.
It certainly is. You know, obviously, another service that we offer is obviously we sell these on to other investor clients who come to me because one of the things I've actually realised, the key strengths of what I do, is actually sourcing properties and actually making the deals. On this particular terrace here, as you can see on the left-hand side, there's a boarded-up door there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we've actually managed to acquire the majority of the terrace here. That's currently undergoing refurbishment. The last few units now have just been valued, and they've actually jumped from 55,000 to 66,000.
That's
so you can
great.
See it really is. You can see we're actually going into these areas, not just buying 1 or 2 houses. We're trying to secure a whole block of properties, and in turn, you know, we're picking up the area, you know, and we're helping with the regeneration program in these areas, and as well as bringing all these empty properties back into use. And obviously that's something that the government's looking to achieve, and you know we're doing it to a good standard. Normally we double glaze them, full gas central heating, put better quality kitchens in, you know, carpets and decors,
£7,000–8,000?
Yeah,
that's great. You couldn't come to my house, could you?
Well,
That's
it depends.
fantastic.
It depends. I can imagine the size of your house.
No, my house is a lot smaller than that. What about new build? Do you get involved in that, like this?
Yeah, we certainly do. It's something really that we looked at. We only really got involved in it in the last 2 sort of 3 years. We acquired land, etc., and we started to build because obviously what we're looking to do was build and sell these properties on, and that way it could give us a bit more capital to reinvest into our properties and grow the portfolio. In particular, this is one that's just under construction at the moment.
That looks lovely.
Yeah, it is. It's 12 apartments in Derby. We've just actually sold that, even though we actually sold it at foundation
And you haven't finished
level.
it?
We've not even finished it yet. It's all been sold off plan, and it's due for completion at the end of the year.
Wow. And how does that work for you? Is that a better investment than buying the terrace that we've just seen?
I like to have a mixed strategy. I don't like to always put my eggs in one basket. So, you know, doing a bit of new build also helps us on the cash flow side for investing in properties in the future. But I do like to stick to the lower level properties because obviously, as you can see, the rental yields are there. There's a market there.
I think we do have a picture of that in construction, don't we? As it's being built. That looks quite like it, but not just the same. The sky is a completely different colour, Arv.
Yeah, I know. I'm wondering what's going on there. Never mind that. I'm trying to count the windows just to make
count
sure
the windows.
The end,
roughly the same. No, it looks as if it will be the same size. And those 3 blokes up there now, are they having a tea break? What's that?
Actually, I think they're pretending to lay bricks, but I grabbed them off the street and gave them a £5 each.
And as you've said, this is already sold on. And,
yeah, it's already sold on.
This is fairly recent, this picture, is it?
It's very recent. I think that was actually taken last week. So, yeah, the boys, they're doing a good job, actually. It's coming on very well. Good. So, we'll get back to what you do in part 2 with new property and indeed with the older properties that you've mentioned to us. But now let's have some tips about how to get started. Number 1 of Arv's tips: always set out your property investment goals at the beginning. That way, you can plan how to achieve them. Number 2, never get emotionally involved in a property. Whoa. Always remember you're investing to make money and not to live in the property yourself. Number 3, don't get drawn in by marketing hype. Carry out all the research yourself on the property, the area and the rental market and resale values as well. Number 4,
Always look for a positive monthly cash flow as well as capital growth. Never overstretch yourself and keep some cash in reserve. Do I need to talk to you about these? Arv! Always set out your property investment goals at the beginning, and that way you can plan how to achieve them. I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it? Have your business plan set out.
Definitely, because too many times you see people, they're, you know, they come to me and they say, look, I want to buy this, and then all of a sudden they pick up the phone and say, well, actually, I don't want to buy this type of property and I want to buy this type of property. And, you know, if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to achieve your goals? You need to have a plan, and that way we can sit down, we can look at the plan, and we can work towards achieving your goals.
If you don't know where you're going, how are you going to get there?
Exactly.
Without GPS.
Exactly.
Number 2, never get emotionally involved in a property. Come on, Arv, you've got to get emotionally involved.
No,
if you don't like it, how is anyone else going to like it?
A deal is not a deal if you can't walk away from it, yeah, number 1. Number 2, always keep your property, you know, neutral colours. The amount of times I see people, no, I want that wall purple, I want that one green, etc.
Yeah, that sounds like a scheme, yes.
Exactly, but not everybody wants that. Also, it's no good having a rental property and trying to put white carpets in it.
Oh, yes.
You've had it. Within a week, trust me, they're going to be ruined. So you've got to keep it neutral. You've got to remember it's not for you. You're there to make money. What you don't want to be doing is, you know, putting, you know, nothing, you know, at the lower or the middle end of the market, unless you're doing high quality properties. Always gear whatever you're doing to the market that you're catering for.
OK. Don't get drawn in by marketing hype. Do all your own research. Again, fair enough. You can only trust yourself.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you have to remember all the marketing hype is there to help the seller, not the buyer. Don't get drawn in by all these rental guarantee schemes. Check them out. Read the small print.
And I like this one. Always look for positive monthly cash flow so you can have your cake and eat it as well.
Too many times I see people, you know, they're working and whatever, and they're buying properties, and the monthly rental income does not cover the cost. You've got to always account for what happens if you lose your job or you run out of savings, etc. People say, no, it's okay because I'm only here for the capital growth. Capital growth doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, so
that's the long-term thing?
Yeah, it's a medium to longer term.
Make sure your cash is covering your costs.
So always make sure you're covering your costs from day one. OK,
Arv, thank you for that. Join us after the break when we'll be finding more about Arv and how you too can become a property king. If you want to find out more about how to be a property king, or indeed anything else that we've covered so far in the programme, you can visit our website, which is overseaspropertytv.com. That's overseaspropertytv.com. Couldn't be any easier. We're back in a couple of minutes. Hello there, welcome back to Property Kings with our guest today, Arv Soar, who as a teenager joined forces with his dad to manage his buy-to-let property portfolio and now shares a portfolio with his business partner worth 15 million squidleys. 15 million!
It's actually gone up since then. That's, that article
that was yesterday. How much today then, Arv?
I think we're approaching 20 million now.
That's fantastic. Did you ever dream of that when you started the business and when you took it over, when your dad passed on and you thought, gosh, I've just got to look after this to keep the family going?
To be honest with you, no, I never actually thought we'd actually get to this sort of level, but it just shows what you can do. You know, really, it's taken off beyond what was my wildest dreams at the time.
Now, we've talked about your student life and the fact that even as a student you were renting out property and you were making a few quid. What were you studying?
Oh, business studies.
Ah, that'll have been handy then. Yeah. And how did all that building of your portfolio lead to you becoming a business partner, or finding a business partner to grow even further?
Basically, the way it actually worked was I was at university. I bought my first property. Then I came out of university and I managed to get into recruitment. Became a specialist headhunter in the printing industry. And the person I was working for at the time, I eventually became his business equity partner running a division in recruitment. And we were just sitting there, and obviously he knew that I wanted to get into property, etc. And we decided, you know, to go to buy our first property together, and that was many moons ago, and that's when it really started to take off.
When it became a real business venture rather than just your pastime.
It did, because as well as doing recruitment, what I was doing is I bought our first house in Nottingham for £18,750. Went to the first bank, they told us both where to go, saying, forget it lads, you know, we don't think that you guys can do this. We bought this property, as I say, for £18,750.
And how did you fund it? Did you...
A deposit, we put down a 25% deposit, the bank lent us the rest of the money. It needed work doing to it. So in the evenings, I was basically filling skips and refurbing this property. After completing that, we rented it out, got a positive cash flow again, and we basically went back to the bank, refinanced it, pulled all our money back out, and we did that several hundred times.
So is that the scheme? Is that the way to go? Don't
That's the way
use your
to
own
do it.
money?
Well, try not to. Obviously, initially you have to fund the sort of deposits. But yeah, traditionally what we try to do is buy cheap, or buy below market value, or buy properties that need refurbishing.
Yes.
I look around, see what other properties are worth in the area, and if I think that by the end of it, I look at my purchase price, my costs involved in purchasing it, and my refurbishment costs, add them all together, and if I can make the figures stack up that I can refinance and pull all that money back out again, away I go and do the same again.
And we've seen how you've moved from, as you say, regeneration areas to
That's
new
right.
build. Why, though? Why? If that's so successful and it's working for you and it's a formula that obviously suits you and works, why get into the new build
Basically,
market?
it's always good to have a diversified portfolio. As I say, never put your eggs in one basket. And also, I'm not going to deny it, there's also good profit margins in buying land, developing it and selling it on. It is getting tougher and the margins are getting lower. But there is still money to be made there, and obviously that's, gives you a bit more cash flow to reinvest back into the other side of the market.
And to move overseas. Why
That's
that?
right, yeah.
Why did you decide
overseas,
to do that?
basically, again, what I look for is I look for areas that are going to increase in capital value. I look for low capital input properties and where there's good rental demand. We've found an area abroad at the moment, the Canary Islands, which we're investing in quite heavily, and they meet all those criteria. So we've recently gone out there and we've acquired a portfolio of properties out there, and as well as keeping them, we're obviously passing them on to our investor clients as well. And I think we've got pictures
Let's
of
have a
one of the
look.
developments that
We do indeed
we've
have a
secured.
picture of one of your overseas properties. Now, where's this?
Right, this is actually in Fuerteventura. You can throw a stone. It's not enough so that you can fall into the sea, but you can hit the sea. Basically, as you can see, it's got a swimming pool. The area around it is currently undergoing heavy regeneration. Fuerteventura's got strict planning policies, so they're not allowing high rises, etc. Having said that, they've allocated certain areas for 5- and 4-star hotels. Sheraton just opened there in the last 12 months. The locals are quite house proud, etc., and a lot of them out there rent because of the salaries, etc. Tourism's been encouraged heavily over there. All the major airlines are now flying out there. And where else can you go? 4 hours from the UK to get water that's like the Caribbean and sand that's been blown in from the African desert.
Sold.
Definitely.
When can I start? Was this
How
a
many do you
new
want?
build, or did you buy those?
No, these are this particular block. It's 10 years old. Basically, a lot of it's rented out to sort of locals. What we're predicting out there, and we're putting our own money in there, as well as obviously, saying to investors, come and join us with this project, is that in the medium term or even the shorter term, capital values will increase because, as obviously it's becoming a proper tourist resort, people will want to invest and have holiday homes there, or you can turn them into holiday lets and obviously increase your capital, your rental yield, etc. And also capital values obviously will increase as properties become scarce.
So that's how you become a property king?
It certainly is.
Okay. What sort of benefits can this bring you? Let's have a look at your house.
Yeah, I had a dream many years ago, actually.
So what would that be now? 18.5 grand? Do a bit of
I wish it
refurb
was. I
there,
did
sell
quite
it
well
on for
my house,
43?
actually. It's set in 2 acres of land. It's got a tree-lined driveway, electric gates, and believe it or not, as I said, it all goes back to planning and where your goals are. Very early on, when I was in recruitment, I sat down my goals, and one of my goals was that I wanted a tree-lined driveway, a big house on a plot, and no joke, I could actually picture my driveway. When I went to see this house in particular, my wife was with me, and the gates just opened, and I said to her there and then, I've pictured this house, I'm having it.
That's a bit like Noel Edmonds' cosmic ordering, isn't it? You write it down, you believe it, it'll be yours.
It certainly is. Everything's achievable. You just got to go out there. It's all about hard work, determination, and being persistent.
Wow. And I see you have a few cars.
Yeah, I certainly do. That's one of
Worth
my...
more than the houses.
Yeah, I think some of them are actually. But
Yes.
yeah, it's a real passion of mine. I've always been interested in cars, and I've had all my Porsches and whatnot, and I wanted a Ferrari when I was 30, and that was a car I actually achieved.
Yeah, I wanted a Ferrari when I was 6. And I got it as well. It goes back in the box every night. I still take it out and look longingly at it.
Great cars, yeah.
Yes, yes, it is. It's just
Definitely.
vroom, vroom, vroom. Really takes off. Woo!
Yeah, you know, I work hard, but you know,
Yes.
I like to you know, enjoy it as well. That's what it's about.
That's
What drives
fantastic.
you. What makes you get up? You know, these are the kind of things that make you get up in the morning and go and find more deals.
Arv, stop right there, because we're excited now. We all want to be part of this. Let's get some more of your tips on how to stay at the top, how to maintain that success. Number one, keep on top of property maintenance and keep the property to a good lettable standard. Number two, have a mixed strategy of buy-to-let and buy-to-sell. Number three, always stay on top of your borrowings and finances. A mortgage taken out 2 years ago may not be the best deal now. Number four, regularly review your portfolio and ask yourself, has a certain property now peaked in capital value, and are you getting the maximum return from this investment? Now, property maintenance. A lot of what you did, as we've seen, has been buy-to-let, has been student rental. Keeping on top of the property maintenance, can that be a problem?
It can be, depending upon the number of properties that you have, but in particular what I'm trying to get across on that point is that you've got to be very careful. What you don't want is to, all the maintenance suddenly, you know, starts to gather over a period of time. You've got say 3 or 4 properties all in one go that need maintenance doing, because it's, number one, it can prove quite expensive, whereas if you schedule it and you plan the maintenance, you can catch problems early on. Because one thing that you do find is that, you know, sometimes tenants won't actually tell you when there's a problem. Number two is, again, it's trying to get the personnel to actually do this. You might not be able to do all of this yourself, and if you've got, you know, a maintenance that's gathered up, all of a sudden it could take you quite a period of time before you actually get around to actually, you know, find the personnel to do it. And thirdly, what you don't want is also a property becomes empty and you walk into it and whoa, you get hit with you know, a whole load of, you know, maintenance issues.
Yes.
Because the key to this is obviously reducing the void periods. So if you can do it as an ongoing basis, if properties do come empty, they'll be in a lettable standard straight away.
Now, the perception, for those of us who don't do this, is that you get a collection of calls at 11 o'clock on a Sunday night saying, I know the plumbing hasn't been working all week, but we need it tonight because we're going to have a bath.
Yeah, unfortunately, that does happen.
Yes.
but generally what we try and do is obviously we always make sure our properties are up to a good standard and we have personnel in place to deal with these issues, etc. But unfortunately, normally the tenant will ring you up at 11 o'clock at night.
Yes.
But we have procedures in place to deal with this.
Now, we mentioned that we've done a bit on this second one, have a mixed strategy, but buy-to-let and buy-to-sell. Why do you think it's important to have both of those covered?
Basically, the buy-to-let, I think, is quite important, obviously, because it's, you know, going to give you capital growth and obviously positive cash flow. The buy-to-sell will also help you, twofold strategy, because I know I've touched on it on another point, but certain times properties do actually peak in sort of capital value, or they may not now be a property that's profitable, or, you know, you can utilise that money elsewhere to reduce your borrowing. So, number one, it'll give you cash flow to either reinvest and get a greater return. You might find that property B gives you a greater return than this for property now.
Yes.
And secondly, if you don't want to grow your portfolio, it might help you pay off your borrowings on your first one if you've got borrowings on it.
So basically, again, it's down to management, isn't it? It's management not only of properties, but management of capital as well.
That's right, yeah. You know, you've always got to keep it, you know, got to keep track of your finances.
Okay.
It's very important.
Always stay on top of your borrowings and finances. Now, this interests me greatly. How often would you review your mortgage to check that you've got the best deal?
Well, basically, you need to review it sort of continuously, because you know, sort of every month or every sort of 6 months or 12 months, you know, the different sort of deals coming out and the market's moving, interest rates are changing, so, you know, you might have a tracker or you might not have a fixed mortgage, as obviously trends in the market are moving, and you know, you have to look at all the different sort of elements of the financial markets around you, and you have to some degree try and predict what's going to happen with interest rates, etc. And really, you've got to be one step, you know, ahead of the game, because by the time that the interest
rates... It's really full-time research by the sound of things.
It can be, but you can also have experts out there like brokers, etc., who can help you with this process. And yeah, you just got to keep on you know, on top of it with them and just say, look, you know, if a deal comes out, you know, please give us a call. But obviously it depends. If you've got fixed mortgages, obviously you could be fixed into these for 2 years, etc. So obviously then you can't review your portfolio. So really you've got to look at the term of your investment. Say if it's 25 years and you've now had your property for 15 years, you might think, well, hang on a minute, you know, I want to increase the sort of monthly income, so you might be able to move that back up to 25 years. You might now decide that instead of having...
just keep looking at it, Arv. That's the motto, isn't it?
You know,
Arv, thank you very much. Let me just let people know that if they want to know more about you or what you've said in this programme, they can call us on 0800 310 1444. Thanks very much for watching. Thank you to Arv for being here. Till the next time, take care. Bye-bye.